Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Can't wait to get into today's Cabral Concept. We're going to be going over the 8 longevity factors for outliving hypertension, so high blood pressure. There are over 1 billion people worldwide, 1 billion people worldwide and growing that have high blood pressure. Now, I've done many shows for high blood pressure. I've done case studies on high blood pressure. I've done lab tests on high blood pressure. I've even given you our starter high blood pressure protocol. I'm going to link those up for you here today. So if you want to head on over to stephencabral.com/3448, that's 3448. Happy to give all of those shows to you, but I also want to share with you, because I love bringing you the latest research. This is a study that tracked almost 300,000 people. So 294,000 people over 14 years. And it actually shared 4 to 8 controllable risk factors that, when followed, reduced the causation of early death, even if you have high blood pressure, by over 50%. That means, and again, I am someone who absolutely believes that you can get high blood pressure under control. I've seen it happen every single time in our practice. So like, no doubt about it. The only people that obviously aren't going to get those results are you stop, right? Because most things, when it's set in, if you're 55 years old, 65 years old, in your 70s, you come to us with high blood pressure, it didn't happen overnight. It happened over the last most likely 30 years. It's going to take a little while to reverse, right? But usually no more than 3 to 6 months, 12 months for the hardest cases. So let's go over this. Let's talk about, even if you're suffering from high blood pressure right now and you're worried, because we know the damage it does to your kidneys, the damage it does to your eyes, potentials for stroke and other issues. Again, like, I get it. It's serious. It is very serious. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't medicate it if that is what your doctor recommends. But in my opinion, the medications over time, and the research backs this up, really damages your kidneys. And then you end up with chronic kidney disease or other health issues. So the goal is, do what you need to in the beginning, but work with an integrative health practitioner, run something like the Big 5 lab tests to begin to then, you can get on the natural protocols and then wean off naturally with your doctor as your blood pressure comes down. And you'll see it, right? Because you're going to be monitoring your blood pressure in the morning and at night after dinner. So that's what I recommend, but I've got lots of shows on that. What I want to share with you right now, though, is even if you weren't able to control your blood pressure, how can you reduce your chances of dying early by up to 53%? And also addressing all-cause mortality by 13%, cancer death by 12%, and improving heart disease death by 21% for people with hypertension, just by following these 8 longevity levers, we'll call them. So let's dive right into it. The first one, you're going to say, thank you, Captain Obvious, but I know I need to control my blood pressure. But that's number one. So the number one thing that you can do is still to try to control that blood pressure. And the study actually found this to be really important to state. So I'm stating the study. And the reason it said that is that you can't just go by everything else and not worry about your blood pressure. You still need to work on all of the major causes of high blood pressure, which are inflammation, higher levels of calcium and magnesium, higher levels of sodium to potassium, sleep-based issues, higher levels of cortisol. So like, these are all things that you should absolutely look at. Fibrin buildup in the body, right? Kidney-based issues. So you still want to work on all of those. And again, a lot of podcasts on those, which we will link up today at 3448. But that is still number one. You can't walk around with blood pressure of 180 over 135, right? Like, it's just, we need to get that below 120 over 80. Okay. All right. So BMI, I'm always talking about BMI, and yes, I don't believe it's the end all be all, but for people with higher blood pressure, get your BMI below that 24.9. That's the ideal. Okay. So if you can get it to a 21, 22, maybe 23, amazing, right? So get that BMI into a healthier spot, and that means weight loss, okay? Not muscle loss, but you want to lose body fat. You want to do it in a healthy way. Do something like the 21-day functional medicine detox by Equilife, or your favorite other weight loss-based program. You can use the new GLP-1 tone system, but you need to do something that healthily helps you lose the weight and keep it off, right? You don't want to yo-yo up and down weight-wise. That's number 2. Number 3 is improve your waist circumference or waist hip ratio, however you want to look at it. And again, I'll link up a show on waist hip ratio if you don't know what that is. And I've got lots of these are all free calculators too. And we'll link those up in the same place, 3448. We'll send you over to our assessments. They're all free. You can check them out. Okay. So what does this mean? Well, it means that for individuals with a larger waist, so typically it's men with a waist of 36 inches or larger, or women with a waist of about 32, 33 inches or larger, there's a larger amount of inflammation in that individual, oftentimes visceral body fat, and there is typically some type of insulin resistance or issues with blood sugar, which we'll talk about in a moment. So by looking at your waist as a proxy for overall health, the larger the waist, the more challenging the health issues. Now, if you're 6'6", a little bit different than someone who's, under 6 feet tall. So, but use that as a general guide. And then you can check out my waist to hip ratio calculator that will share with you the 0.85 and the 0.9 that we look for basically men and women to be under. So I'll do a recap in just a moment, but number 3 is waist circumference. Number 4 is bad cholesterol. And I'm using that in the air quotes. So it's not so much about the total number of LDL. It's actually looking at oxidized particles and particle size. This is on an advanced cholesterol profile. I will be sharing with you over the next coming weeks an advanced cholesterol profile that you can run. Anyone can run on their own, even if their doctor doesn't want to, because remember, most PCPs will not want to run this. And that is because then they have to read it and they are not taught, because it's post-doctoral, post-medical degree work that they may not have done, and most haven't, truthfully. And so that's important, because all of this can be really controlled with nutrition and exercise and omega-3s and increased fiber and improving your steps and reducing your high oxidized, foods. All of those things can be tremendously helpful. All right. Number 5, we said we were going to talk about it, but really it's important for overall anti-aging and health. And that is your blood sugar, right? The easiest way to look at this is a lot of people get confused when they use a CGM or other meters. Look for your hemoglobin A1C. It's going to be one of your most powerful measures. That's it. Hemoglobin A1C, it's written on most blood work as HgA1C. All right. And when you see HgA1C, what you're looking at is basically a 90-day average of blood sugar. And you want yours to be 5.5 or less. Not always the lowest, the better, but the lower, the better. If you can get it around a 5 to a 5.4, then you're in a much safer zone. Okay? So balanced blood sugar, but that also doesn't mean that you have to avoid carbohydrates. That's actually not what that means, because you will see, and I've got a whole show on why carbohydrates do not cause type 2 diabetes. They don't. Processed food certainly does, and that includes hydrogenated oils and oxidized food, but it is not the only factor, that is for sure, because damaging the cell membranes is honestly what matters the most. Okay, so that is on blood sugar. Number 6 is kidney function. So why does this matter? Because hypertension in general stresses the kidneys. It messes with your electrolytes, which are also regulated in the kidneys. Plus, the medications like the diuretics and other medications often prescribed for hypertension end up over time damaging the kidneys. And then if you add to that not enough water intake, which a lot of people are not getting enough hydration, you're taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like Advil, ibuprofen, which damage the kidneys. You might be overdoing, your protein while on all these medications. The problem is that those kidneys take the brunt of it. And so if your kidneys start to fail, your body goes downhill quickly. Okay. You start to hold more edema and water in the legs. It is going to further exacerbate blood pressure-based conditions. It's going to harm the heart and much more. So protect the kidneys, make sure they're clean. You'll look at your creatinine on your blood work. You'll look at your BUN, your BUN. You'll look at EGFR. You'll look at a few other numbers on your blood work as well. All right, we've got 2 more to go. The 7th one is smoking. Smoking anything. I want to reiterate that. Vaping is not healthier than smoking cigarettes. Smoking cigarettes, still really bad. Seems to come in vogue every once in a while, which is quite odd. It's not healthy for you. Smoking regular tobacco, even if there's no filter, is still not healthy for you. Breathing smoke into your lungs is a carcinogen. Okay? So there are some things that are worse than others. There's no doubt about that. But breathing smoke into your lungs on a regular basis is not ideal. So that is that. And that includes jobs where you're exposed to smoke, secondhand smoke. All of that is not good for you. Environmental toxins, all environmental, smoke, all of those things, not ideal. The last one is this, physical activity. Here's what they found, that 150 minutes to 300 minutes a week, I know it seems like a ton, right? But if you think about it, it's 1 hour, 5 days a week, or on the lower end, 40 minutes, 4 days a week, 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And as I was talking about yesterday on the show, 30 minutes, 5 days a week of moderate exercise, pretty great. And you might say, well, I only have 3 days a week. How can I get even more benefit? 25 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise, like high intensity interval training 3 times a week, also was shown to have that protective effect. My recommendation, get your 7,500 to 10,000 steps per day. Just start there. It reduces all-cause mortality by about 28%. If you can get sauna, that's phenomenal as well. Don't overdo it while you're trying to balance your blood pressure, because it can raise blood pressure, so you have to be careful there. You just want to monitor that. But these 8 tips have been shown now on a study of close to 300 people that even if you can't lower your blood pressure, these 8 things, if you can control them, or at least control for most of them, it will reduce your essentially all-cause mortality, dying from an earlier age, from blood pressure-based issues, I should say, not all-cause mortality, but from blood pressure-based issues, by up to 53%. So pretty remarkable. If you know somebody who has high blood pressure, one, absolutely let them know there is hope to reduce that blood pressure and be able to balance the body. That is always the case. My recommendation is to run the Big 5 labs, which are at-home labs, to look at truly what are the underlying root cause reasons. And I went through those a little bit earlier. You can find those at stevencabral.com/big and the number 5, Big 5, or you can work with any integrative health practitioner that you'd like. And the other thing is, send this show to them. Let them know that there are ways to be able to naturally reduce that blood pressure. And even if they don't want to come off the medication, follow these 8 steps. By doing these 8 things, they're going to get healthier in general. Who knows? The blood pressure may even lower on their own by doing and working on these 8 things. All right, hopefully this was helpful. As always, the show notes are at stevencabral.com/podcasts. And today was episode 3448. And of course, if the show was helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.